Hello there, this is Richard Smith here. I'm the head professional at Topgolf Chigwell. Here at the Chigwell site at the range. Here I'm going to explain to you a couple of different ways of actually flighting your chip shots in there differently. Now, there's two options in which you can do it. I've got a preference. I'm going to explain to you both, the benefits of doing both, and maybe some of the negatives and the way I like to my players to actually go about doing it. So the first option is, as you know, in a golf set, they are numbered slightly differently. So one of the main differences here is, if we look at the two different golf clubs, just in case that didn't pick up on the video, here this is a sandwich. So this is in most people's bag, not in everyone's, but this is going to be the most lofted golf club people use. There is such thing as a lob wedge, but this is at Topgolf the most lofted golf club in your set of clubs when you come to use our facility. So this is a sandwich, and here I've got a 7-iron. So if we look at the difference between a 7-iron and a sandwich, there we can see with the sandwich it's angled very, very different. So it's very, very lofted, certainly in comparison to a 7-iron that's got much, much less loft. Now, my first option, the way of showing you, is actually not changing the way I play it, but purely actually just changing the golf club I'm going to use. So instead of using a sandwich to hit the golf ball lower and actually change my technique, I'm going to play a very, very similar shot in terms of technique, but with just a slightly different golf club, so a 7-iron. So with this less loft, what that's actually going to give me is that lower golf shot that I'm going to demonstrate now. So if the shot on the golf course requires, or even at Topgolf requires, you to hit it in very, very low and let the golf ball run out towards its desired target, instead of actually changing the way I'm going to play the golf shot, I'm going to play it with a less lofted golf club. So I've got my 7-iron here out. Just hopefully the camera can pick this up. So without doing anything really, really technical at all, in order to keep the golf ball down and keep the flight of it down, you can see here that the ball goes in very, very low, runs out to its desired target, which was our red target, which is 25 yards away. Certainly at Topgolf, one of the negatives of playing that shot, certainly when our facility's busy, there might be golf balls in the way, so when you go to chip your golf ball into the red target, it could come off the ball, would deflect off. So what I also would recommend is, once again, if I go back to my sandwich again, I actually take them golf balls out of the equation, fly over the balls and into the red target. So I'm going to play exactly the same way, so at the moment, no alterations whatsoever in how I'm playing the golf shot. I'm just going to change the way I stand. Sorry, start that again. I'm actually going to change just the golf club. I'm going to keep how I stand exactly the same, play it the same, and all of a sudden, you can see how the golf ball pops up and takes out all the golf balls in front of the red target, goes over them, but yet still goes into the red target, its desired target. So once again, relating that back to a golf course, if there's a hazard in the way, you can pop the ball over the hazard onto the green, let it release out towards the target. So in actual fact, the ball's got there the same way, it's got to the same target, but just a slightly different way. So that was one method, guys. Once again, not changing very much technique, but actually just changing the golf club. I think for me, some of the benefits of doing that, it's very, very simple. So if you've not had loads of experience in your chipping, so if you've not done much chipping or had much coaching in chipping, that's quite a simple way of being able to do it. I suppose one of the negatives for me about playing this way is, with a slightly stronger lofted golf club, they tend to come off really, really hot. So controlling distance can be really, really tricky. When you're using a 7-iron and you play it in that way, it comes flying off the face. So actually controlling how far the golf ball goes is really, really tricky. The trajectory is much easier to control because of loft, but actually how far the golf ball goes is really hard. Now I'm going to show you a way of actually playing exactly that higher golf shot and that lower shot with the same golf club. So here's my sandwich here, guys. Now just a few little bits that I'm going to tweak to make sure that that golf ball goes in the same loft as that did with the 7-iron, but I'm actually going to do it with one club. Now, what I do, guys, instead of taking my normal chipping stance with my weight slightly forwards and the hand slightly forwards, I'm actually going to lean much, much more on my left side. So what I'm doing, really, really leaning over on that left side much, much more. So instead of a kind of 55-45 split in terms of weight distribution favouring my left side, what I'm actually doing now is I'm really, really leaning on that left side and I'm getting the handle more forwards. What that's doing to the loft of the golf club, guys, by pushing my hands forwards, I'm actually taking loft off the golf club. Can you see that there? So when I play my desired shot now with my sandwich, I've got the handle much more forwards, the weight much more forwards, and what you'll notice is that ball goes in really, really low, even with my sandwich. So I've played that 7-iron bump and run shot I did a minute ago, but this time with my sandwich, and how I've done that is how I'm actually standing. Likewise, playing this method as well, if I wanted that golf ball to go up slightly higher, I would then return very much back to my normal stance, where the weight's just favouring slightly forwards and the hands are slightly forwards, and all of a sudden, that ball pops up just a little bit higher and releases nicely out towards its target. So there's a couple of different methods, guys, on actually flighting your chip shots differently. One of the big positives of playing it this way for me is you become much, much more skilled. So you start to understand how loft, how weight distribution, how stance, how pushing the hands forward can actually affect the flight of your golf ball. So you're starting to understand the mechanics, the techniques, and some of the principles as to why the golf ball flights slightly different. That's a massive, massive benefit. One of the other benefits for me of playing it that way is, certainly when you're playing that golf shot, using a slightly different stance and the way you play it, it's much, much easier to control distance. So because there is as much loft on the golf club as normal, the ball tends to react much, much more similar off the club face, so controlling distance is much, much easier using that second method. As I said, with the first method, with a stronger golf club, the ball comes off really, really hot and can fly and can actually travel much, much further. When you're just using the same golf club, you get much, much more feel, and you understand how the golf ball reacts off the face, so it allows you to control distance much, much easier. As I said, my preference, guys, out of the two methods, I always like my players to become more skilled, so I prefer to play the second method, in which you change the way you stand to get the desired flight that you're looking for. As I said, some of the benefits are, you're able to control distance much, much better. You become much, much more aware of the skills and how manipulating the club face and your posture changes the flight of the golf ball. I hope you found that useful, guys. Could you give me some feedback on what you think, and maybe try both and tell me which method suits you guys best. Thank you very much.